Alright, very windy. Yeah, it's a good test for this unprotected microphone on this camera. Cat running, blowing. Yeah, really outrageously windy today. Still have power though. Alright, anyway, video coming up soon. Any moment now. I'll just use this as a background. I really have to put some kind of marker on these cameras because yeah, you're a little bit off and you know it's no good. So it's really hard to keep it pointed. So you think they would be made for this? They're smaller and all that jazz. So what's the point? Anyway, ooh, spooky, spooky, spooky. Because my mailbox blew open. Yeah. All right. Probably have to go now. Run out of time. God, horrendous. Alright, anyway, magnificent tree. Spectacular. Hundreds of thousands of feet high. Anyway, still right, video. Now. Commencing now. Button hit. Please. Alright, response video, sort of, kind of. Maybe. While I pace. Yeah, there's a rare visitor coming. Always makes me horribly nervous. So anyway, video. Yeah, well I saw a couple of Matt videos and then conference report and whatever other videos were related to the, you know, this whole Enlightenment thing and this, you know, shared experience of being conscious, and you know, some people are speaking of, you know, that's what we share with the animals, and people should be implying that people should be more cognizant of that connection. But it's just a subtle implication, no logical mandate whatsoever. And it all has the flavor or smell of this just crap, you know, the same old standard we're in this together thing, you know, in the broadest sense. Like Matt would even say that even the complex molecules have an interior and therefore are in a struggle to retain their interiorness, and we have that in common with them, and it's something to be not lamented, and I wouldn't say celebrated, but it does seem like a type of, let's glorify it, let's make it mean something more than it does. Because when you draw it on a piece of paper, you know, if you diagram this thing called life, yeah, it's reproducing chemistry. I mean, I keep having to reinforce that point, but it's one molecule, one time, you know, 4 billion years ago, that got itself involved with some other chemistry and became what we call DNA. One molecule, one. All the life here is this one molecule. I keep saying that too. And it's like people are just ignoring that, because that's the context of this thing we're calling existence. And in that context, you've got to be a little bit skeptical of this, you know, this fantasy. Not only the fact that people just acquiesce to this life thing, like, you know, it's always okay, it's always acceptable. You know, we just endeavor to persevere. But it even goes beyond that in the sense that it's trying to make something out of. I mean, the crudeness of it is right there in front of us. I mean, so any description of some more, bigger, better has to be really justified. That becomes almost the UFO theory. And so you need the extraordinary evidence thing now. You know, it's an extraordinary claim to say that somehow this reproducing molecule, through 4 billion years of evolution, acquired something of merit, of real merit. And so if you're going to make that argument, it has to be made out of something more than, I'm addicted, so I say so. It has to be made out of some sort of rational argument that explains how needing is a good thing. Wanting is a good thing. Deprivation, hunting satisfaction is a good thing. And we should preserve it and retain it and glorify it. And, even that, Matt talks about the horror. Let's make sure this thing hasn't. Stupid button is terrible. These touch buttons are useless. They should at least beep when you hit one. Anyway, yeah. I mean, there's got to be an argument. Gotcha, gurgle. Ugh, uncomfortable. There's got to be some sort of argument that explains why. I was on the Matt thing, right? Yeah, I got to remember where the hell I was. Matt was saying that it's doing something for something. What the hell was he saying? I don't remember now. It made me nervous just not remembering. All right, we'll have to endeavor to persevere through this little moment of screwed upness in the video. I could do something interesting, but I won't bother trying to fake it. Look, flowers. Flowers, yeah, I'll distract them. Well, I think. Let's see. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, little pink flowers. What was I talking about? Let's see. Well, anyway, the point is this: all these living things are in this game to survive because of a DNA molecule. Everything's been constructed to consume and reproduce, and little else. And the fact that we have intelligence is just because it was a good tool, like big teeth or a big giant stomping foot or some other weapon. Being intelligent, being able to understand and model the environment and anticipate what's going to happen. Yeah, it's a great advantage to having some of that. And that's probably the key phrase is some of that. Because I don't think there's much advantage to having too much of it, as we'll probably demonstrate. Oh yeah, that was the thing, the species. Yeah, Matt was bitching because, we've killed more species than, there's 5 of these extermination periods, and, that when we've created one of those, where all these poor little species are going extinct. There's a lot of irrelevant bullshit, so, some frog in South America or something. A lot of crap we don't need. Smallpox, making that extinct. It's probably a good move. Maybe we can make AIDS extinct. That would be really good. Not that it's a living thing, but same difference sometimes. Anyway, whatever. So there's still this thing, this context that still exists in almost all presumptions and all foundations from which all human conversation takes place. This old religious doctrine, this old glorification. And yes, throughout history there's been a few philosophers who once in a while dared to say, well, the game is kind of stupid. Buddha, who else? And but there's not much they could say about it. I mean, beyond that, what they're going to do, how they're going to stop it. So, it's kind of for naught. But yeah, it's the real philosophical reality is dealing with that fact. And as long as these philosophers keep yammering this other bullshit, they're not philosophers, they're psychologists. They're just playing a psychology game. Let's all root for the home team. It's no better than faith or any other religious dogma. It's a false premise. That's the word, premise. It's a false premise until proven logically otherwise. It's false. You can't just presume that this makes logical sense, that it's a good idea to create these sentient beings in need so they can chase satisfaction that they likely won't be able to attain in the majority. That a minority might satisfy some of the people some of the time, but most of the people none of the time. or rarely, or only, incidentally. And that's the reality. And it's all just an addiction game, and once you're in it, you can't help but much play the maze game because you've been built to play the maze game. I mean, you're constructed to run the maze. So of course, once they put you in it, you're going to run it. But the question is whether anything should ever be put in it. And clearly, there's a lot of presumption underlying the conversation where most people think it's a given. Oh, it's just a given. It's something we all have to accept and agree upon, that the little life game is worth playing. And even if it was, then the argument should be as how to play it ethically. It doesn't seem like there's too many philosophers talking about that either. Not in any real sense. They're all afraid of that. Those conversations get really spooky. So then you have to start getting into this idea of, maybe there is an optimum human form that's can maximize the conscious experience to get the most out of it. Maybe we all should be a little bit deliberately retarded, maybe a little bit of lead paint through our childhood just to keep us a little dim, so it's easier for us to stay in the game if we're going to play the game. Because being too smart will just defeat gameplay, because it's like you're just not going to be entertained. Life is, for a kindergartner, life is, pretty colors, bouncy ball, hopscotch, fiddly sticks, I think that's what they're called. Chutes and ladders. It's a simple game. It needs to be played by a simple mind. A complex mind is going to trip over it all over the place because there is nasty out there. It's all over the place. And they're going to trip on that. Anything with any kind of enlightened mind, observant, informed mind, is going to have a hard time because there's a lot of dualities and there's a lot of paradox and there's a lot of no-win situations in this reality. And something with an intelligence isn't going to like that. They're not going to just sit back and enjoy it. So this is too simple a game. It's too simple an amusement for a complex mind. And that's what philosophers sort of have to deal with too. As part of the argument. But again, everybody's just playing psychology games. They're just rationalizing their devotion to their home team. Making some sort of irrational argument about superiority of the human experience, or because that's their home, or even the life game. Oh, look how much better we are than the dumb inanimate objects. Ooh, look at the dopey window. It doesn't know how to have sex or do anything fun. Ooh. And so we play a little superiority dance, game, because we are enlightened and we're informed and we're educated and we're not simple. Not being simple is not necessarily a win. That's another truth that needs to be dealt with. So anyway, very windy outside, nasty, blustery day. Oh look, swimming video. Yay, swimming. Yay, remember that. Anyway, so till later. I guess enough of a video anyway. All right, so till next time.